Spoiler alert, Canada absolutely dominates right now as the easiest country in the world to secure permanent residency in 2026. But here's the thing, the global migration landscape is basically undergoing a massive earthquake. Countries are completely rewriting their rulebooks. And honestly, depending on your specific profile, your age, your occupation, your English score, Canada might not actually be your best play. The stakes for getting this right are massive, so in this explainer, we are going to pit the big four against each other: Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK, to see where you actually stand. Let's get straight into it. Okay, so here is our roadmap for today. We'll kick things off by looking at the top migration pathways and the absolute fastest routes to permanent residency. Then we'll take a quick detour into the booming remote work scene, checking out Spain's digital nomad visa and Thailand's long-term resident visa. After that, we're going to hit the hard realities of budgeting and application costs, and wrap up with a framework to help you choose your ideal destination. Section 1. Top migration pathways in 2026. Before we start crowning winners, we have to talk baselines, right? Every immigration system has a sweet spot, and generally speaking, they heavily favor applicants between 18 and 44 years old. You're typically going to need a bachelor's degree or a recognized trades qualification, plus about 1 to 5 years of solid work experience. But here is where the massive divide happens. Canada, Australia, and New Zealand run on dynamic points-based systems. Your English scores are literally make or break there. The UK, on the other hand, they care way less about points and way more about money. The UK heavily prioritizes a minimum salary threshold, which is hovering around £38,700 depending on the visa. Throw in spotless police and medical records, and you've got your foundation. Section 2. Fastest permanent residency options. So, time is money, and global processing times have actually plummeted because these nations are fiercely competing for top-tier talent. Let's look at the turnaround. Canada's express entry is blazing fast. We're talking 6 to 14 months to get permanent residency, and you can fast track to citizenship in just 3 years. Australia is rolling out its new Skills in Demand visa, which takes roughly 8 to 12 months to process, with a 4-year wait for a passport. Now contrast that with the UK or New Zealand, where traditional routes often force you to grind out 5 continuous years of residency before you can even think about applying for citizenship. Oh, and keep an eye on Germany too. Their 18-month job search visa for grads is a very solid backup if Europe is calling your name. But zooming in on Canada for a second, this right here is exactly why it holds the #1 spot globally for PR accessibility: total transparency. With their comprehensive ranking system, you can calculate your exact score right now based on your age, education, and language skills. They're admitting 395,000 people annually. It's a massive, highly predictable machine. And the best part? You can completely bypass the need for an upfront job offer. It's a real game changer. Section 3. Spain's digital nomad visa. Now, let's say traditional permanent residency isn't your vibe, and you want to leverage your remote job. €2,849. That is the magic number for 2026. It's the minimum monthly income threshold for a main applicant aiming for Spain's digital nomad visa. If you can prove a stable remote income from overseas that hits this mark, you've basically cleared the biggest hurdle for sipping espresso in Madrid or Barcelona. And we're not just talking about a glorified gap year here. This is a structural pathway to permanence. If you apply legally from within Spain, you jump straight to a 3-year residency permit. After a quick 2-year renewal, boom, you hit year 6, which unlocks permanent residency. Stick around until year 11 and you're actually eligible for a Spanish passport. The day-to-day perks of this are pretty phenomenal, obviously including free movement across the Schengen area. But as an applicant, the absolute standout feature is the strict 20-working-day processing guarantee. And get this, Spain uses something called positive administrative silence. That means if the government bureaucracy misses that 20-day deadline, your visa is automatically deemed approved by law. No fighting it. Plus, if you're a freelancer, you're actually allowed to dedicate up to 20% of your business to local Spanish clients. Section 4. Thailand's long-term resident visa. Hopping over to Asia, Thailand's long-term resident visa is completely gutting the usual administrative headaches of living in Southeast Asia. We are talking about a 10-year renewable residency, a highly streamlined digital work permit, and yes, exclusive fast-track airport lanes, which is a nice touch. But honestly, the biggest win is that it completely eliminates the dreaded 90-day immigration check-in, replacing it with a super simple once-a-year report. And then there's the math. The tax incentives here are ridiculous. While Thailand's standard progressive tax can hit high earners at up to 35%, this LTR visa grants highly skilled professionals a flat 17% tax rate. I mean, compound that delta over a decade, and that is literal life-changing wealth retention. So who is Thailand actually looking for? They have 4 specific targets. Wealthy global citizens sitting on at least $1 million in assets, wealthy pensioners over 50, and highly skilled professionals in targeted tech sectors. But if you're aiming for the remote worker track, pay very close attention to this catch. Your overseas employer has to be a public company or a private firm that has generated at least $50 million in revenue over the last 3 years. It is a steep hurdle for sure. Section 5, Budgeting and Eligibility Costs. Okay, back to reality. Knowing you can get a visa is only half the battle. The other half is surviving once you land. Let's talk relative baseline living costs for a single person. Major English-speaking hubs like Toronto and Auckland are going to run you anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000 in their local dollars every month. Australia can be a bit more reasonable if you look outside Sydney. Adelaide sits around $2,200 to $3,000. But compare that to Europe. Berlin and Lisbon offer massive discounts, sitting comfortably between €1,400 and €2,200. You've got to align your income with the reality of these local economies. And we haven't even touched on the upfront application costs, which can literally hit $10,000. The difference in fees between the big four is wild. Canada is actually incredibly affordable, costing around 1,500 Canadian dollars. But the UK and Australia, their PR visas can easily exceed $4,000 to $5,000 just in government levies alone. Add in the credential assessments, the mandatory English testing, and your flights, and you need some serious liquid capital before you even start packing. Section 6. Choosing your ideal destination. Look, people make the same painful mistakes year after year, and it absolutely destroys their migration plans. Do not ignore processing times. Applying for a UK visa that takes forever when you need to move in 6 months is a disaster. Don't just pick Australia because it's popular. Verify that your exact specific job title is actually on their current skills shortage list before you spend a dime. And please, do not underestimate those hidden setup fees we just talked about. So let's settle the score. Based purely on processing speed, points transparency, relative cost, and the shortest pathway to citizenship, here is your definitive 2026 ranking from easiest to hardest. Number 1, Canada. Number 2, New Zealand. Number 3, Australia. And bringing up the rear, number 4, the UK. But here is the massive, unavoidable caveat. Easiest means absolutely nothing in a vacuum. It depends entirely on your specific profile. Are you 25 with perfect English? Canada's begging for you. Are you 45 with a massive salary? The UK might actually be your path of least resistance. The data is laid out right in front of you. So which system is actually looking for someone exactly like you? Assess your profile, find your fit, and make the jump.